So welcome to this show today again, Lukas. I'm very happy to have you here. Very excited about the topic today. How are you doing?
Good. I'm very happy to be here. Happy New Year's.
Yeah, the same. I mean, we spoke not that long ago, and then we were in the up phase of the DeFi platform, and now it's live. Now it's launched. So how does that feel?
Feels very good. The team was working super hard towards the end of the year to put everything together. There's been a lot of different moving pieces to make this work because, as we discussed last time, this system requires two blockchains working together. So you have a set of smart contracts on WAX blockchain, then you've got a set of smart contracts on Ethereum, and those are different technologies. And then you've got oracles that are kind of making sure that everything works together. So last week of the year was kind of crazy for us because we were making sure that everything is deployed and working together. We had to set up some monitoring to make sure that the ETH bridge flow happens correctly. But yeah, it feels awesome actually to have it live now.
Yeah, you have been working a long time on this,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
guess
it's been a while.
your tech team didn't get a lot of vacation during Christmas.
No, we did not. So we got maybe a day or so here, but the funny thing is I was being pinged by some of my family members, and they were just talking about how they're enjoying their time off, and I was working. So and that goes for the rest of the Wax team too. So but we can relax now, so it's all good.
Yeah, and for anyone watching this now, if you're interested in all the like a deeper dive into all the aspects, we have I think it's over 90-minute talk with Lukas a few weeks ago that you can go and watch. It will be linked below so you can find it. But shortly, what is the Wax DeFi platform has launched? What does that mean? What is that?
Right. So just going back, I guess DeFi stands for decentralized finance. And when you talk about DeFi, you typically primarily think about DeFi on Ethereum. So there's been a lot of decentralized finance type of projects on Ethereum over the last year and a half, really. That space was extremely hot in the summer of 2020, where there was a lot of innovation happening when it comes to various different mechanics and liquidity pool and vaults and all that type of stuff. Since then the space have cooled off a little bit. Having said that, it is still very, very interesting space. The way Wax blockchain is applying DeFi is to essentially make it an integral part of our tokenomics. Tokenomics really is part of the blockchain that deals with all the tokens that are being involved and how the inflation is distributed, and then how if there are any sort of rewards, like staking rewards or voting rewards. So when we launched the chain, it was essentially a version of EOS.io that we forked, and there were standard rewards that you would typically get on EOS for voting and staking. And we added something called GBM rewards, which is for people who did the conversion from the initial WAX token on Ethereum back in the day, and they burned those tokens and converted them to WAXP on WAX. Those if they were to remain staked, you would also receive additional rewards. Since then, we also took a look at how we can make that ecosystem better, how we can advance the tokenomics model. William talks about this fourth generation blockchain, which essentially ties tokenomics of the blockchain to the economic value that is being generated on that blockchain. So this is exactly what we've tried to do with this DeFi model, which means that we envision that there are going to be these something what we call network fees that are collected for various different operations on the blockchain, and those fees should then benefit the community. So the way our DeFi works is that we are collecting 2% fees on all the NFT sales activity, and then we will be then funneling those fees into this net fee ac.wax account, and then from that account we will then initiate the DeFi portion, which is the initial burn. So there's going to be a percentage of those fees that are going to be burned to introduce this deflationary tokenomics. It is set right now at 20%, and then remaining 80% is going to be distributed to these different pools on Ethereum via the bridge. So that WAXP will be converted into this WAXE ETH token, which is essentially this WAX economic activity token on Ethereum, with this 1,000 to 1 ratio. So 1,000 WAXP will result in 1 WAXE ETH token. And then those WAXE ETH tokens are going to be then distributed into these two pools that we set up. One we call Piggy Bank pool, and then another one is distribution pool. And those, both of them, play very important role in the DeFi mechanics, because right now the split ratio is 50-50, right? So whatever remains after the initial burn gets split halfway, and then that value gets deposited into these pools. The way that the pools work is essentially, one is tied to the governance and the other one is tied to the distribution rewards. In order to participate in a DeFi distribution, WAXP token holders, they can use the Ethereum bridge to burn their WAXP tokens and receive WAXE ETH tokens on Ethereum. Then the next step is, they need to essentially provide liquidity or become liquidity providers to the DeFi liquidity pool on Uniswap by depositing their WAXE ETH tokens and also depositing Ethereum. That action results in them being given a new set of tokens from Uniswap V2, WAXE ETH tokens. And then once they have those tokens, then they can now stake them in the WAX economic activity smart contract, which we call WEAP. And then once they have those tokens staked, then that makes them eligible to essentially receive these staking rewards. And there are two staking rewards. One is emission of the WAXG token, and then the second one is distribution of value from this distribution pool. So the idea is that by providing liquidity, by participating, you now get these rewards of essentially the WAXG governance token, and you get the distribution from the distribution pool, which is really you get a percentage of the economic activity that we capture on WAX blockchain, right? So WAXG then is the token that is designed for governance. So I mentioned these different percentages in terms of like, okay, so we do 20% burn here, and then we split the allocation 50-50. And there are some other parameters there too. So we want the DeFi system to actually be managed by the community as well. So the plan is that WAXG token holders will be able to essentially vote on these different proposals, right? People will be able to adjust the percentages. So maybe maybe the community wants higher deflationary burn, and they want to change from 20% to maybe 30%. So they will be able to vote that. Or maybe they want higher distribution to the distribution pool and lower distribution to the piggy bank pool. So those type of parameters people will be able to adjust and vote using their tokens. And then the final thing is that, you know, the WAXG token is actually also tied to the piggy bank pool. So piggy bank pool is designed to perpetually accumulate value from the tokenomics from the, you know, activity happening on the WAX blockchain. So that pool is just gonna be growing forever. And you know, when you decide to, if you decide, let's say, I don't want to vote on governance, you know, I've done all this work to receive WAXG token, then you know, you can decide to burn your WAXG token, and if you do that, then you will receive a portion of the piggy bank pool that is there at the time. So
yeah, man,
that's just kind of work. I know it's a lot of different moving pieces.
yeah, and that was, I think it's good. In 10 minutes, you broke down everything. So if anyone wants to hear everything, I didn't want to cut you off because you walked through it step by step. So that's good. But just to take us back and make it a little bit simple, the first thing that happens is that NFTs is sold on WAX. When that is done, there's a portion that is collected as a network fee that goes into a pool, and then is distributed. A portion of that is burnt and then is distributed to WAXE holders and to the WAXG Piggy Bank. And to do this, so the 4 different tokens we have WAXP, we have WAXE, we have WAXE ETH, and we have WAXG. And the third token there is something that I have seen in the communities on Telegram and on Twitter that people are a little bit confused about. Because they think that it means that it's the WAXE ETH pool, the liquidity pool, but no, it's actually another token. So, okay, the first token, WAXP, is on the WAX blockchain. That is the token that will remain the token. It's used for governance, it's used for network resources. Most NFTs are using that as well, to be when you want to buy or sell NFTs. And then we have the WAXE, which you get from swapping. And let's start there. So you need to add WAXE and Ethereum into a Uniswap pool. And for anyone that is new to Uniswap, they have not participated in that, what does that mean?
Sure. So Uniswap is essentially a DeFi project that developed this system that allows creation of automatic market maker type of exchange, right? So typically, when you think about exchanges, whether that's stock exchanges or whether you have crypto exchanges, they operate typically using the order book, which means that, you know, buyers and sellers come together and you've got buy order, sells order, and you know, there's a matching algorithm that you know, matches those up, and that kind of also sets the price, right? And everything is fine as long as there's enough buyers and sellers, right? If you don't have enough buyers and sellers, then, you know, the exchanges that use order book system, they sometimes have to say, they have to introduce this concept of market makers. And market makers are people who are typically whales, and you know, they come into the picture, and then, you know, for a certain sort of price, they agree to buy, sell certain tokens or certain securities, right? And you know, that process, you know, finding these people, managing all that process is very clunky and time consuming. It may not sometimes work. So Uniswap essentially decided to do this project and make an automatic system that uses algorithmic automatic market maker. Uniswap allows you to set the token pair. In our case, it's WAXE and ETH, Ethereum, and then initialize the pool with enough balance of Ethereum and WAXE, which then sets the price of these two tokens. And then with enough liquidity provider now, once you have enough liquidity in the pool, then the pool itself allows essentially automatic buying and selling of both Ethereum and WAXE. And depending on the buy sell pressure of all these different of these two different tokens, the price adjusts as well, right? So and we've seen that. I mean, in fact, since we initialized the pool last week, we saw that the liquidity essentially doubled in the last week or so. Which means that the DeFi is working, right? People are burning their WAXP, they're getting WAXE tokens on Ethereum, then they're taking their own ETH, they're providing liquidity, and then in that process, they receive back from the liquidity pool the Uniswap V2 tokens. And the way that system works is that you can think about these tokens as a claim check, right? So every time you deposit every time you provide liquidity to a Uniswap liquidity pool, you get in return a claim check that you then hold, and that claim check allows you to then go back to the liquidity pool and get your tokens back. Plus any sort of exchange fees that you accumulated. So liquidity pool provider on Uniswap, their reward is I believe is 0.3% of all the exchange fees. So that's the reward for the liquidity providers. And in our case, once you get these liquidity pool tokens, and we refer to these like Uniswap B2 WAXE ETH token. Once you get those, then those are the tokens that you then need to stake into WAX economic activity smart contract, the WEAP on Ethereum, in order to then be eligible for WAXG emissions and distribution pool rewards.
Okay, right? That's good. And here, so adding liquidity there require you to add Ethereum and WAXE. Yes. That is very important for people to understand. And when you do this, the first thing you do is you actually approve the contract to interact with your address. So that's the first action, and then the second action is the actual providing liquidity or doing the claim or whatever you do. You always need to approve the contract the first time. That's why there are two different actions. Yes. But so the burn, you talked about the burn, and there are people adding liquidity. Right now, the Burn.WAX account has 11.6 million tokens in it, which is quite a lot. That's a few tokens that will be or are burned. How do you see that?
So right now this and it's a good question. There's been actually a couple of questions that came my way regarding this today, and the Burn.WAX account is an escrow account. So the balance that you see there are tokens that are locked in that account. They're not burned yet. So we are planning, in fact, as early as yesterday, we're talking about the best strategy to burn these tokens. So, some ideas that we had was like, have an automatic burn every 24 hours or have an automatic burn once the balance hits certain point. I think what we'll end up doing is that we will essentially burn at the beginning of each epoch. So once the staking epoch ends, then we will burn at the very beginning of the next epoch the whole balance that is there. So so that process right now is going to be done manually. So I will be doing that, but we are also developing another set of automation tools that will do that, automatically without me having to do it.
Yeah.
So the idea is that over the next day or so, the burn the wax will go to 0, and I will actually execute burn of these tokens, which will reduce the overall supply of WAXP.
Yeah, and that's very nice to actually understand what that means. And so you mentioned the stake epoch, and for someone that has no idea what that means, what is a stake epoch? Especially
Yeah,
in this
it's
case.
actually so this staking epoch is a concept that we borrowed, I believe, from Kyber, which is another DeFi project. All it is really, when you think about it, it's a time box that says that from this time to this time, you need to have your liquidity pool tokens staked in order to be accumulating rewards during that time, right? So the rule for the WAX, the WEAP smart contract is that, we have 2-week epochs. The first epoch started, I believe, let me check here quickly. Right, it started on December 22nd and 10 a.m. PST. And then it ran till the second epoch started, which started today at 10 a.m. PST also. So the way this is designed is that the rules are that you need to stake your liquidity pool tokens before the epoch starts in order to be eligible for the rewards accumulating during that epoch. And you need to keep your tokens staked until the end of that epoch, right? So you do not get partial rewards. Like if you decide to, let's say, deposit your liquidity pool tokens in the middle of the epoch, you will start accumulating rewards from the next one, right? And it's also very important to know that if you decide to withdraw, or I'm sorry, unstake your liquidity pool token from WEAP in the middle of the epoch, you will not be eligible for any rewards for that epoch, right? So I mean, it's pretty straightforward, I think, and the system is designed so you take your Uniswap liquidity pool claim check, then you stake it with WEAP. And then that makes you eligible, and then once the epoch kicks off, then the counter starts, and then you start being eligible for the distributions, right? So WAXG is going to be emitted at about 48,000 WAXG tokens per epoch over the next 4 years. And then the distribution pool rewards will be also paid out, but the distribution pool size depends on on 2 factors really. It depends on the overall NFT sale activity on WAX blockchain, and then how much of that we can actually collect from the marketplaces that are compliant, right? So that's kind of how it works.
Yeah, so just to summarize, you need to have when an epoch starts, your tokens need to be staked, and you need to keep them staked until the epoch ends. When that happens, you can unstake. How long does it take to unstake these tokens?
Well, it's really a Ethereum blockchain. So you execute the transaction, you sign it with your MetaMask, and it's about 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, so it's just as long as the transaction takes.
Yeah.
So like on WAX to unstake, it takes 72 hours, and that is actually a security measure, so that's very good. But here it take as soon as the transaction is done, you have unstaked. So that is correct.
That's right.
And on top of that, we have another timing question. That is, if I swap my WAXP to WAXE, do I have a time limit for me when I have to claim this token, or will my address be able to claim that until, I don't know, forever?
Yeah, so there is no time limit right now. So you know, if you decide to swap your tokens and not claim them right away, you know, they're just gonna be sitting there available for you to claim. You know, this is one of those things that we talked about, and we'll see how it goes. If we see that there's a lot of unclaimed transactions, then we may decide to put a time limit and then time them out and reverse them, which means that you know, you get your WAXP back, and then you know, you will have to do it again. So, but that's a complexity that we didn't want to deal with yet today.
Yeah, but that's
So
that's good. I saw that question today in one of the chats, so it's good that people can relax.
Yeah.
If they don't, currently we have record high gas fees on Ethereum again. So some people might want to wait a few days, and some people might just want to swap directly. So it's good that they don't have to stress it.
Yeah, they don't need it. Yeah, you don't need to stress it. You can wait. I mean, the only stress factor here is that you know, if you don't want to miss the next epoch start, then you know, you need to pay attention to those. We're gonna be making some modifications very soon to the WAX Cloud Wallet DeFi page. I was talking to the team yesterday about adding like the epoch start end countdowns, so you will actually be able to see when they end and when they start. So it's a little bit easier to make those decisions. You know, you also need to account for that. You know, if you're new to this, Ethereum world is much different when it comes to obviously cost of the transactions and then confirmation time, right? So things do not happen instantaneously, and you know, the gas fees can be quite high. So
Yeah, currently
you
it
know,
might not be a good idea to swap 500 wax or 1000 wax. You want to do bigger chunks if you want to participate.
yeah,
And you don't want to do
exactly.
it small and often. You want to do it seldom and big if you want to save some cash.
That's right. Exactly.
And okay, so the piggy bank, is there any place in the wallet or somewhere we can see how big that will be? Is there some kind of tool for that?
Not yet. So there is a plan to build a. So there are gonna be a couple of things. So in the DeFi section, we will also start providing stats in terms of you know, the fees collected, total fees collected per epoch. We'll be also showing the, you know, total value being distributed to different pools and the size of these pools. So that all that stuff is coming. It's going to be available in the DeFi section of the wallet. We are also redesigning our wax.io site, and there is going to be a separate you know, DeFi page on the wax.io that's going to give you all those stats as well. So it's going to be clear. But yeah, for sure we want to make all these numbers visible and transparent. So yeah.
Very nice. And
one thing that I wanted to share to make sure, you know, these pools have a unique Ethereum address. So you know, if you are interested in seeing how much WAXE is currently in Piggy Bank pool and distribution pool, you can always go to these addresses and check them out. Obviously, we will not be, you know, in the ideal world where fees and confirmation times were not a factor. You know, every time a sale transaction happens and we collect the 2% fees, then we would distribute right away. So there would be a, you know, almost immediate reflection of that in those pools. But the reality is that you know, distribution of these will cost us Ethereum fees. So we are planning to essentially accumulate all the fees in created this net fee AC.wax account, which is this network fee accumulator account. And then from that account, we will be distributing all the fees once per epoch, probably 24 hours before the epoch ends. So that's kind of, I mean, that will allow us to accumulate and then distribute and minimize the fees at the same time. So
yeah, that's very good, and people can track them. And I mean, we're talking about you are building tools for this, but I'm sure the community will also provide nice ways to follow this.
Yeah, I hope so as well. So what we've seen on Wax and is that we have a pretty strong community that builds awesome tools, right? And all this information is public. So I'm sure people are gonna come up with nice trackers over time, right?
Yeah, for sure. And okay, so the WAXG token, that is like you have access to this piggy bank. So if you own 1% of WAXG and you burn them, you get 1% of the collected fees inside the piggy bank. But on top of that, it's the governance token, and the governance model of this DeFi protocol is a little bit different because, from what I understand, there's one aspect that is happening on WAX blockchain and one that is happening on the Ethereum blockchain. So how does that work?
Right. So the way it's gonna work is that there is going to be governance.wax account, smart, and that's gonna include also a smart contract. And that smart contract will contain all the different configuration parameters that this DeFi model needs, right? So just from the top ones that will be available for change is the amount of burn, and then how much you allocate to piggy bank and distribution pool, right? So those are the top ones. And those parameters will be stored in that smart contract. Now the governance happens on Ethereum. So we will be borrowing most likely from Compound project, their governance setup, and adapting it for our purposes. And what that will allow us to do then is create these proposals, which then can be voted on by WAXG token holders. And then when proposal wins, there's going to be a oracle that essentially takes those parameters and then applies them to the to this governance.wax smart contract. So it updates the parameters, and then all the other oracles that are responsible for the distribution and burn and all this other stuff will essentially take their configuration from that smart contract.
Yeah, very nice. Sense. Yeah, and that is good because you're utilizing two blockchains. Well, you have to, because the fees are collected on one and distributed on the other one.
That's right.
So it's very nice. Yeah. And we talked about the Epoch. There's no lock time really. You can unstake whenever you want, but if you want rewards, you should keep them staked. When you provide in the liquidity pool and things like that, is there any lock time there? Can people unstake whenever?
Yeah, I don't believe there's any lock time on Uniswap. I may be wrong, but I think you can deposit. I mean, you can provide liquidity and then turn around if you want to take that back, you can do it right away. So
yeah, you just have to cover the fees if you want to do that.
That's exactly right.
So when you deal with Uniswap and Ethereum contracts, make sure you always keep some Ethereum in your account, because you will need it, otherwise you will have to top it up.
That's right.
So the fees, how we mentioned it a little bit, but how are they enforced? You said that like in the market contracts. Yeah, so let's just go through that quickly. How are the fees enforced on WAX or for everything?
Yeah, that's a very good question. internally, we have been talking about this topic for probably over 6 months now. When we started discussions about enhancing tokenomics, and that discussion started probably the beginning of summer of last year. The question was, if we were to start distributing portion of the economic activity, then how do we capture it? There are different, I guess, options for that. Some are better than others. And let's just go down the list. Some of them are also very difficult to do technically as well. So there's kind of this decision matrix of how heavy-handed you want to be, right? And you can say that if everyone cooperates and this is more of a gentleman's agreement, right? We all understand on WAX that this is really good for the community. Then in an ideal world, every marketplace that is developing on WAX should build that into their smart contract, right? So if they have a running marketplace, then they should say every sale results in this network fee collection, and then that amount gets sent to this net fee AC.wax, right? So that's this network fee accumulator.
Yeah.
And that's the idea. That would be the ideal state. That's where we kind of are today. We've had many different conversations with the marketplaces that are operating on WAX, and so far it looks like we will be able to have marketplaces collect this fee without any problems. But again, like I said, this is all gentleman's agreement. The next question is, what happens if there are marketplaces that come to WAX and they say, screw you guys, we don't want to collect any fees, right? So there are many different options there, which there are some that could include developing some sort of a blacklist of accounts that are infringing on this particular fee collection, and then making changes to EOS.io systems so that these transactions originating from these accounts are essentially rejected by block producers, right? So that's kind of this enforcement mechanism that we would probably have to put in place. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope that the community will kind of self-police. My hope is that if there is a marketplace that is, let's say, not compliant and they're not collecting fees, then we make it public, and then people just stop doing business there, right? But if that doesn't happen, if we don't see that happening, then we will have to think about some enforcement options. We also discussed other options, like maybe embedding fee collection into the NFT standard in itself. So that's also an option, but that is also very heavy-handed, and it's got some significant technical complexities, because NFT standard doesn't necessarily know today the value of the NFT. The marketplace does. We also discussed that. We also talked to Pink Network guys who wrote Atomic Assets, and that's not the option that we want to go after today. So I think just to summarize, It is going to be more of a gentleman's agreement where marketplaces should include that in their smart contracts, and then we'll see. Like if we see that over the next 6 to 12 months, if we see that there are a lot of marketplaces popping up who are kind of racing to the bottom by not collecting the fees and hurting the community, then we will have to work with the community and especially block producers and make some changes. So then there's gonna be a blacklist, and then the block producers will reject transactions coming from these marketplaces, and that's that.
Yeah, and let's really hope we never get there, because that's a scary ideology.
Yes.
That we start to reach, but I see it. So that's the fees, how they are collected. But they're like, we have had NFTs activity for a little bit over 6 months now, 7 months. Like we had it from the start, but it started when Garbage Pail Kids Series 1 launched.
Yeah.
The fees collected from there, will they be implemented in some way into this model?
Yeah, so so that's right. So we will definitely distribute the fees from the sales and collections that the WAX team initiated. So GPK, the Tops and Shatner, Atari, all the ones that deadmau5, all the ones that we've done.
Yeah.
We will definitely take those fees and we will be distributing them to the community. We are not gonna be retroactively going after sales fees from other collections. However, like I said, we had conversations, and specifically on Atomic Market, we talked to Pink Network guys. So they will be implementing that mechanism, and it's not going to be retroactive. But at some point in January, they committed to us that they will start collecting that from all the sales.
And I know collections that have actually put aside fees only for this purpose from the start. How would a collection or an organization like that go to add to this base? Do they send the tokens to that account? Do they talk to you? How does that work?
Yeah, I think at this point, because we're still figuring it out, it's probably best for them to contact us in Telegram, and then we'll work on making sure that those fees go to the right place. But yeah, I think our focus was to go after the DeFi implementation in terms of all the mechanics, and then now once this is out, obviously we're still working on the WAXG and Piggy Bank pool burn, and we're still working on governance, but that's going to come soon enough. And then the second work, which is arguably probably more difficult than the technical work, which is now the working with the community and block producers, and we all need to come together and make sure that there is a collaboration on how this model should evolve, and then also how we collect the right fees and how they're being distributed. As a side note, we are also pushing hard on enhancing the Ethereum bridge, so it supports movement of altcoins. There's a list of, I think, 9 altcoins that we're going to support from the get-go. And then there's going to be a bridge withdrawal fee that if you decide to move the altcoins back to Ethereum, that we will collect, and that's going to be also distributed to the community. And then there's going to be trading fee for the altcoins themselves, the wrapped altcoins. So if you decide to move, let's say, USDT, USDT, the tether.
Yeah.
If you end up moving that onto WAX, there's gonna be WAX-USDT, and then any trade of those and exchange between accounts. There's going to be a very, very small thing, 3 basis points fee collected for that as well. That will be then collected and distributed to the DeFi.
And this is good because this was actually my next question. And what you're talking about right now is swapping other tokens from Ethereum to WAX.
Yeah.
Just to clarify. And you said 9 tokens, and do you have all of them in your head, or Feather is one of them, the USDT, the biggest stablecoin?
Let me see here. I have a list. I have a handy dandy spreadsheet that I can quickly pull out here, hopefully. So USDT is one of them. Hold on, mapping. Supported ERC20 tokens. Okay, so so we are talking about. I'm sorry, I misspoke. There's 7 tokens.
7, yes.
So we are talking about USDT, WBTC, WETH, USDC, DAI, BUSD, and REN BTC.
Okay, nice. That's nice. There's a few tokens, and taking them to WAX, will that have any cost? You said there's a cost back, and there's a small transaction fee on the WAX blockchain.
So depositing these coins, moving from Ethereum to WAX, the only cost that you will have to incur is the initial cost of initial gas on Ethereum when you interact with the escrow smart contract on the Ethereum side, right? Because that's kind of going to be the kickoff to this transaction, right? And then once you complete that, then our bridge system will detect that transaction and then issue in your WAX account a WAX wrapped version of that coin. So if you deposit, let's say 100 USDT, then you will get 100 WAX USDT fungible tokens in your WAX account.
And will this be like, now with the DeFi interface in the Cloud Wallet, which is very simple and easy to understand, will we see something similar for this?
Yeah, so if you look at the UI for the ETH bridge, so the way this was designed is to be very extendable. So once we introduce all these tokens, then right now in the ETH bridge section, you see the WAXP to WAXE. It's kind of like the one row, right? So each of these tokens will have another row. So you will see USDT to WAX USDT and so forth.
Yeah.
And you will start seeing, and we will continue enhancing that UI as more and more tokens are being added. Then obviously that's going to become very busy. We'll add a search bar above that. You will be able to select your favorites, the ones that you can always see at the top. So you will be able to make those transfers very easy.
Yeah, that's very nice. And there's 2 steps of this bi-directional bridge. There's also the NFT standard. So
yeah, so that's the one that we want to go after next. You know, there is some technical complexity there that we need to solve. You know, our plan is to map ERC 721 and ERC 1155 onto atomic assets. However, you know, the problem with these ERC standards is that each of these NFTs end up, you know, it's a clone of a standard, and then they may introduce some various different variations. So we need to solve for that, how to essentially map those NFTs well from Ethereum. First complexity that we'll have to solve is, you know, atomic assets has this concept of a collection, right?
Yeah.
So a collection is kind of this top level tier bucket that kind of categorizes it.
Like a brand.
Like a brand, right? So that may be difficult to do at scale because there's so many NFTs on Ethereum as well. But what we may have to do is essentially have a whitelist of the NFTs, NFT collections from Ethereum that we want to support. Maybe something like, CryptoKitties first, and, go with like 10 other ones that people are interested in seeing on Wax to be traded. And then have, kind of this architecture where we would create these collections for those NFTs on Ethereum, right? The problem with that I see is the pure maintenance, right? So as this ecosystem gets larger and more collections are created, more NFTs are being traded, then managing this mapping, managing the whitelist can become very laborious. In the ideal world, it would be automatic, where the NFT from Ethereum would just, magically show up on Wax. But if we wanted to do that, that means there will be one large collection called, Ethereum NFTs, and then all Ethereum NFTs would be in that one bucket, which, from the just categorization perspective, searching, finding things would be terrible.
Yeah, so it would require the user interface for all the marketplaces to adapt.
To change. So we don't want to do that. I mean, we haven't made any decisions yet. Those are still very, high level conceptual discussions that we're having. But the way I see it is that we'll cross that bridge that once we get there, right? So first, I want to release these support for the altcoins, because that's very important to augment Wax ecosystem, so that people and marketplaces can actually use these other coins to buy, sell assets. I'm also hoping that by doing this, we can actually motivate DEXs and DeFi projects to actually port some of their smart contracts onto Wax, which would create a very nice secondary business that's also developing on Wax. So once that's done, then we will go after solving the NFT bridge complexity, which hopefully, I mean, I was talking to the team yesterday. I'm hoping to get the ERC20 token support by the end of January, and then we will move on to NFTs. So
that's very nice, and I guess that's a very loose deadline, or?
Yeah, it's a loose deadline. Don't hold me to it because I thought that we would be done with DeFi end of November.
Yeah.
And thank God that I gave myself a little bit more time. What ends up happening is that with so many moving pieces working on 2 different chains, you're coding in Solidity, you're coding in C++, you're developing these oracles, you need to do security audits, and these security audits are also very complex now because Solidity smart contracts and C++ smart contracts and oracles need to be audited at the same time. So that costs a lot of time and money.
Yeah,
to get done.
but it's good. This deadline that you gave means that we will see it soon. And soon doesn't mean end of year, but in the start of the year, and that is very nice.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for sure. I mean, the team is super pumped about this stuff, and we also understand that as we are growing NFT business, there is also an opportunity in DEXs and DeFi. So having a functioning bridge with a very easy UI would hopefully enhance, entice projects to move on to Wax as well. in that space, in the DeFi space, in the DEX space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's very good. And just to sum, I think we can like summarize this and call it like a good one on the DeFi model from here. So we have 4 different tokens. We have the WAXP, the WAXE, the WAXE ETH, and we have the WAXG. If you want
Correct.
your WAXG token and the NFT sales, first you need to swap WAXP to WAXE or acquire that through the liquidity pool on Ethereum. And then you stake it. Well, if you add it to the liquidity pool, then with Ethereum, then you get the WAXE ETH, and then you can stake that to get the NFT sales on Wax.
That's right. So the more people start participating in the distributions, you know, the amount of WAXG being dropped per epoch is constant, right? So that's about 48,000 tokens. So you know, it's good for people to participate early, because then their percentage share of that drop is much larger. Yeah.
Yeah, and
sure.
that's that's good to know for folks.
Yes.
So and that's the 4 steps. And if you have the WAXG token, then you can like vote on this. You can actually decide, okay, you need the help of other people, but you can decide to burn more of the WAXP tokens that are from the NFT sales, or burn less and distribute more.
Correct. Yeah.
And when will this function be live?
The voting, I want to say closer towards the end of Q1. We just started working on it. So we are digging into Compound. We're also evaluating other DeFi projects to see if we can maybe borrow from Compound is very complex. But yeah, we have a dedicated Solidity developer who is working on that stuff right now. So
yeah, that's very good. And it's good that it's not too soon, because at the beginning not enough people will have this token anyway.
Yeah.
So that's good
for sure.
And yeah, is there like, there will be a lot of updates in the Cloud Wallet. People should check it out. The interface is easy. But is there anything else you want to share with everyone? Something that you want to disclose or so?
Yeah, I think a good little bonus for everyone that I wanted to share is the fact that you know, we as a team provided the majority of the liquidity to the liquidity pool. We are not planning to be staking those liquidity pool tokens in the WEAP, and essentially we are leaving those rewards for the community. So what that means is that we are taking massive burden of being the liquidity provider to DeFi, taking that risk, while also not, you know, we're not participating in getting rewards, right? So those rewards are left for everyone else. So I wanted to call that out because I think that should be a nice thing for everybody. And then, yeah, I think that the only thing I wanted to add is that Wax Cloud Wallet is becoming like this Swiss Army knife for a whole bunch of different stuff. I just had you know, product strategy meeting yesterday with our team, and we are recognizing that as powerful as the Wax Cloud Wallet is becoming, it is also becoming very kind of squishy thing, right? Like, what is it? Is it a wallet? Is it an NFT wallet? Is it a DeFi wallet? Is it like, what is it, right? It's it could be very confusing to come in, and then especially, you know, if the initial goal of Wax Wallet was to make it very easy for non-coiners to do things on blockchain, we're kind of drifting away from that goal, right? Because if I was someone who's not familiar with all these different concepts, if I were to log into Wax Wallet today, I would probably lose my mind, because like half of the stuff on the left-hand side navigation, I don't know what they are, right?
Yeah.
So we are taking a second look at how to redesign Cloud Wallet and continue evolving it so it becomes easy. You know, we definitely are open to suggestions and feedback from everyone in the community. So if people are UX experts, if they are designers, if they, you know, if they have ideas of how we can streamline the user experience, then definitely ping us in the Telegram channel. You know, some ideas that are floating around are maybe it's time to break the Wax wallet apart and have different dApps that are very specific to the function that they do. So I think I mentioned it last time that we have a possibility right now to, you know, log in with Cloud Wallet. And in fact, when you go through the login flow today, if you pay attention to the URL, you know, you kind of start like on all access, the wax.io. So that's our identity management piece. And you know, what we could do is you know, break apart DeFi as a separate dApp that you log in with all access, or have an NFT wallet that all it does is wallet type of stuff for searching, finding NFTs, showcasing that you log in with all access, you know, and so forth. So we could do that, but at the same time, this could become difficult to manage and maintain with so many different apps, right? So again, if people have strong opinions, if you know experts who are UX experts, if you want to evolve this platform to be something to be even more kick-ass like it already is, then you know, we are all ears. We could use help.
Very nice. And just reach out in the Telegram chat, tag Marty, and he can show you who to talk to or help you get along.
Yeah. Super.
Yeah. So thank you so much for coming on, and I'm sure a lot of people are happy to learn more and understand how this works. If anyone hasn't seen it already, I have a short tutorial on how to swap WAXP to WAXE. It's very simple. And I will put out another one on how to participate in the liquidity pool and stake your WAXE ETH as well. So yeah, thanks so much for coming on, Lukas. Hope you have a good one.
Thank you. Yeah, you too. Take care.
Thanks.